What's going on out there? It's Monkey Man again, doing another video for you guys out there, for my fellow monkeys. So, doing a video here on the Galaxy Tab 8.0. So, I've had this maybe about a month now, I think. This is actually the third tablet I've ever owned. The first one was the Galaxy Tab, which was a craptastic tablet. Just totally turned me off to the whole tablet scene. The second one I had was a Nexus 7, which was a great tablet, actually. It was given to me as a present by an ex-girlfriend, and sad to say is that when we broke up, she wanted the tablet back. So sad. So this is actually the second tablet that I've bought for myself, and this is the Galaxy Note 8.0. Alright, so first some specification dimensions on this bad boy here. So first of all, of course, this has an 8-inch screen, diagonally across, not all the way around like that. It is an LCD screen, which is, I think, a TTF screen, whatever that means. Don't know what that means. Maybe someone can explain to me. It has a 1280 by 800 pixel density, which is 189 ppi, which is kind of low. Especially since the Nexus 10 has, full HD, like 2080 or by something like that. So not the greatest screen, but actually, to be fair and honest with you, the screen looks great. It's very bright and vibrant. The colors are really nice, really good. Not a bad tablet, actually. Not a bad screen. This is actually the Wi-Fi version, 16 gigabytes. Also has a memory SD card slot to expand the memory. The CPU inside of it is an Exynos 4412, which I guess is lower than the Exynos 5. It is a quad-core chipset in it. Clocked in at 1.6 gigahertz. It's a Cortex-A9, which is less than the Cortex-A15. So, and it has a Mali-400MP GPU in it, 2 gigabytes of RAM, and so and all the other bells and whistles of Bluetooth and so forth like that. I'm not sure, but I think this has a Gorilla Glass 2 in it. The battery is a non-removable battery. It's 4,600 milliamps. Of course, it's not removable. Also, it has a 5 megapixel camera on the back. Boom, boom, boom. No LED flash. And it has a 1.4, I think. No, 1.3 megapixel camera in front for front-facing chat. The front-facing camera is capable of 7020p at 30 frames per second recording. So, actually, to be honest with you, I don't use a camera much, so I don't know how the quality of that is. Maybe you need to check someplace else for that. Let's take a look at the dimensions of this tablet. So, lengthwise, or up and down, depending on how you look at it, it's 210 by 8, 210.8, I'm sorry, and then, width-wise, I would guess, is 135.9, and it is 8 millimeters thick. So, pretty thin tablet, very nice. Samsung only made this in white. I'm not a big white fan of anything, my cell phones, smartphones. I think I've only had one white smartphone, which was the Vega Racer 2, just to change it up. I'm a big fan of black with cell phones. Never get sick to it. It's running TouchWiz, Android, also Android 4.1.2, which I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't upgrade this to 4.2.2. But what can you do? Tablet retails in Korea for about 550,000 wons, which is about, I think, about $475 in American, but you could probably get it for cheaper because I bought this when it first came out. Pretty expensive compared to the Nexus tablet. I know the Nexus tablet in Korea runs for 300,000 wons. You can get the 32 gigabyte version for 300 and I think 60,000 wons or something like that. So almost twice the price for the tablet. But like I said, I had the Nexus 7 before. It was given to me as a gift. It doesn't have micro SD card slot, and the Nexus 7 has 7-inch screen compared to the 8-inch screen, although the PPI is a little bit higher. I must say I can't compare them both because I like both of them, and I didn't actually have the Nexus 7 for a very long time, but this is actually a really nice tablet. The user interface, I don't know what Samsung did because it doesn't have the top of the line CPU, but it runs really well. You know, it's really smooth. TouchWiz runs really well on it. I don't know if you can tell by the camera, but it's actually a really smooth user experience. This is just standard fare TouchWiz. It has all the, you know, the toggles, the notifications, smart stay, and so forth. It doesn't have a lot of the new stuff from Samsung Galaxy S4. Hopefully it gets upgraded to that. It does have the multi-window, which is very useful. As you see, you press the button and the multi-window comes up. That works pretty well, like I said. I don't really use it that much, so if you want to check it out in another review, I would definitely tell you to, you know, check that out somewhere else. What else do I need to say about this? I read a lot of reviews. Actually, you know, before I go into my thoughts and stuff, let's finish with the technical part of this. So let's take a look at this. So on the top of it is just plain, except for the headphone jack up here. On the side, you have the power button, and right underneath it is the volume rocker. You also have some kind of a hole. I would guess this is a noise cancellation mic. Or maybe it's even the mic. I think it's actually the microphone here. Over here you have an IR blaster. You can control your TV, you know, DVD box and so forth like that with this. And here, of course, here is the S Pen, which everybody, you know, is going a little bit gaga about. On the bottom, you have the USB port, and you have 2 speakers here. And I'm going to get into that because the placement of the speakers is just horrendously bad. I'm sorry, you know, I love Samsung products, but Jesus, you know, when you're playing, look at it, when you hold it, it's just totally covering it. But I'll get back to that. On the other side is just empty except for the little lever here where it holds the little plastic part for the micro SD card slot, you know, because it is support micro SD card to expand your storage. And that's about it. On the back, like I said, it's got a 5 megapixel camera. And that's about it, and everything else is just a big expansion of white plastic. Now, a lot of people don't like Samsung because they use, you know, the plastic material, but honestly, it doesn't feel bad. You know, oh, by the way, the weight of this comes in at a weight of, hold on while I check my charts. Body, 338 grams, so 11.92 ounces, so not a bad size, not a bad weight. It's actually pretty comfortable to hold in your hand. The back, like I said, you know, your fingers wrap around the back and you can hold it in with your thumb like this, and it's actually a very, you know, useful, you know, really nice size, and it's really well. The battery is about average, I would say. I would think maybe, I don't know, depending on what you use with it, it would definitely last a couple of days. You know, I've had this thing unplugged for a couple of days, you know, just occasional, you know, game playing and stuff, because I've been busy with my other things, my other phones and stuff like that. But heavy intensive gaming, you know, it'll run quick, but definitely enough battery, I think, you know, for a long road trip and so forth like that. As you can see, it has a 1.3 megapixel camera on the top here. It has the sensors here and so forth, and it has, of course, the physical home button and the buttons here for the back and menu and so forth. TouchWiz on this, you know, I'm not a big fan of TouchWiz, but actually runs really well on this tablet. I don't know, software customization, they made it really well on this. So let's get into the S Pen, because this is the reason why you got the tablet, right, instead of a Nexus 7. So the S Pen. So it's a little bit longer and it's a little bit thicker than from the Galaxy Note 2 and also definitely the Galaxy Note 1. It still has that little one stray button. It's Wacom technology, which means it's pressure sensitive, and it actually works really well. So for instance, I'm going to create a note. I've already did some notes and stuff like that. Actually written, you know, some diary entries. I was trying to write a diary, but it didn't work out too well. Drew some pictures, you know, and it works pretty well. So I'm actually going to show it to you here. We're going to create a note. For some reason, when you press a note, it takes a little bit to boot up. That's the only area I see where it takes a minute for it to you know, jump into an app. So we're gonna write here, what's up, fellow monkeys. So as you can see, it's very responsive. It's almost natural, like writing, you know, normally in a pen and a notepad. You know, I don't know, for business people or for maybe students, you know, need to take notes on this, I would definitely recommend this. It works really well. You know, much better than carrying, you know, a notebook. You know, we're back, you know, we're getting, you know, scientific here. We're getting, you know, advanced in technology. So definitely way. So you can write really smallly, you know, and it follows you really well. You know, there's really no lag. So what you write is just instantaneously, you know, appears for you. So what the hell is going on? And like I said, the form factor of it makes it really easy. And what's great about it is if you have the S Pen out and you put your hand on it, it doesn't register your hand. You know, it only registers, you know, the S Pen. You know, you can still pinch the zoom, but honestly, like for instance, you know, 2 fingers, and see how resting, and it's not moving. So it's only, you know, with the S Pen. So that's really cool. So, you know, kudos to Samsung for making, you know, understanding that people are going to rest their hands on this while they're writing on this. They're not going to hold it up like this in the Galaxy Note 1. So definitely one thing for business people or for students who want to take notes and who's going to use this a lot. You know, definitely something to think about. That's definitely a plus for the Galaxy Note 8.0. For me personally, I don't use it that much. You know, it was a fun kind of gimmick, you know, for me, you know, but for students and business people, I can definitely see, you know, good uses for this. So heads up to you guys. Like I said, it runs TouchWiz. TouchWiz works really well on this. It's very smooth. There's hardly no lag. Even though the CPU is not the best that Samsung has, I don't know, the implementation of the software is really great. Another thing about the S Pen I forgot to show you is that on some apps it has the air view. So for instance, this is Flipboard. This is Flipboard that Samsung, I guess, I don't know, they made some kind of collaboration with Flipboard where they implemented this. So if you hold the S Pen over it, it will actually show you like a kind of pop-up of the stories, you know, which is pretty cool. You know, if you're using the S Pen a lot, you know, it's very cool. This goes for also for emails. I will show you. It doesn't use for Gmail, but it used for the Samsung bot email. So if you jump into the email here, so if you jump in here, it kind of shows you a preview of what's in the emails and so forth like this. So I don't use it that much, you know. Actually, to be honest with you, the Galaxy S4 with the finger is much more useful. I use that much more. Oops. Ooh, please don't look into that. Everything else, like I said, real world usage, it works really well, and I'm really happy with it. It's definitely my favorite tablet to date, even including the Nexus 7. Even though the Nexus 7 was a lot cheaper, it was actually free for me because it was a gift, but somebody took it back. But honestly, I really love this tablet. The form factor is really well, fits hand in hand really well. The only complaint I have is the speakers, because when you're playing a game, you know, naturally your hands holding here, you know, controller or stuff like that, and it totally blocks one of the speakers, you know, so you end up having to do like one of these, you know, like arthritic, you know, like claw things trying to, you know, not block it. I wish they would have implemented, you know, side speakers. They have such, you know, they have such big bezels here. They could put a speakers here or something like that, because they know people are going to use it like this and so forth like this. You know, I don't know. They could have implemented, they could have put the speakers in a better spot. But that's about my only qualms. Excuse me. Alright, so enough of me rambling on. Let's jump into some benchmarks. So, let's clear everything. So we're gonna jump into. Oh, by the way, I told you. I don't know if I told you. This has 2 GB of RAM. So we're gonna jump into Quadrant Standard, and we're gonna run the benchmark. I ran the benchmark before. It ran, I think, about 8,000 or something like that. So not bad, but not stupendously great compared to like the top end smartphone these days, and maybe even the Nexus 7 with the Exynos Cortex-A9 chipset. But like I told you before, it doesn't really. Benchmarks are nice to play around with and see how high you can score, but in real world use, I really noticed nothing bad about this, nothing stuttering. A couple of random reboots, but I think it's just maybe software issue, and hopefully Samsung pushes out a software to fix it out. I played a lot of heavy, intensive graphic games like Dead Trigger, Barb's Tale, and so forth, and all of them run flawlessly. So let's check out the score in Quadrant, because it's just finished. And as you see, the device scored a 6,882. So not bad and not great. It's just really middle of the pack, type of things like that, especially in this day and age. Let's close Quadrant, and let's jump into Antutu benchmark. So before I tested it before, I don't know, there's something wrong, and it scored at 8,113, which is really low. And I was really surprised, but we're going to test it again so everybody can see what's going on. We're going to start the test. While we're waiting for Antutu, just want to explain, oh, by the way, if you didn't see my other videos, I'm actually using my Galaxy S4 right now to record this video. So if you want to know quality video, you can kind of test it on this. This here is my Galaxy 4 maybe camera stand. So I'm using some Garfield comic books I have and some old boxes of my cell phone cases to hold this bad boy up to. But of course, I'm not shaking and I'm not moving around, and I have 2 hands free, so it's a plus plus. So if you're wondering what this is going on over here, that's what it is. It's actually my camera stand for my S4. I did this test before actually, and something went wrong, and I got like a purple screen and scored really low, and then afterwards this whole thing, my Galaxy Tab just kind of like froze up. I rebooted it again, so hopefully it accepts it well, accepts it better. Maybe I'll actually show it again. Actually I made a video and I deleted it because of that. But if it does it again, I'm actually going to show you how some benchmarks can can kind of mess up your things. Like I said before, you can't put too much stock into benchmarks because there's ways for the software people, the technical people to tweak it to get high benchmark. It doesn't really equate to real world experience. Real world experience, it runs great. It does what I need it to do. It's a good ebook reader. I can watch YouTube videos on it. There it goes again, purple screen. Did you notice that? I don't know what's going on with here. This is the same thing that happened. But playing games on it is great. The screen size is really perfect for playing games, and and so forth like that. I've never had any problems like playing Barb's Tale, Dead Trigger, and so forth. The only game I had a problem was this popular game called Cookie Run, which is connected to Kakao Talk, and for some reason the input when I jump and slide is a little bit off, compared to like my S4 and my G Pro. For some reason it's a little bit off. So, but that was the only game that I had a problem with, and I didn't really think that game was that graphic intensive or something like that. Because it's just a side scroller jumping game. So a little bit disappointed. But like Barb's Tale, it played really great on that, and Dead Trigger played great. There was no lag, there was no so don't understand about that. And of course it's struggling with Antutu again. I don't know why. Maybe it's a software, maybe it's maxed out in the CPU. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully Samsung pushes an update to address those problems and so forth. Alright, so yeah, it tested this time much better. Thank you God, Jesus. So this time it tested at 17.374, and this just shows you, and it reiterates my my comment about how you can't put too much stock in the benchmark. Because before I did the test, it was 8,000, and then it jumped to 17,000. That's like a 9,000 jump, you know. So that is definitely not, you know, accurate. You know, you have to, you know, you have to actually play with the device and see how it works for you. So we're going to 17,000. We're going to see the rankings and see. Whoops. We're going to see the ranking scores, and we're going to go in the chart and see where this scores against the other ones. So as you can see, a little bit better than the Galaxy S4. I guess it's using the same chipset. Underneath the Galaxy Note 2, Google Nexus 4 beats it, Sony Xperia Z, and of course the Galaxy S4 totally smokes it. So, like I said, you saw that you saw it. You know, I ran the test. It was 8,000 something, and now it's 17,000. So don't put too much stock into benchmarks. Definitely, if you have a chance to buy the device, no matter what they say it is in it, try to go to a cell phone shop, play with it. You know, they have the display models. You know, play with it, use it a little bit. You know, try to get some reviews where people actually talk about real world use and not this bullshit, you know, benchmarks and all this bullshit, because like I said, it varies too much. Alright, so I don't want to go into too much detail about it. You know, I really like, you know, the multi-window, especially for this. It works really well, especially for a real estate this size. So for instance, if you wanted to go into, well, I'm not going to go in email, I don't want you guys to see my email. So if you want to go into, you know, the web browser and say you wanted to take a note, you know, so this works really well like this. Okay, thank you. So you can, you know, lower it, make it bigger, one size bigger, one size small. So for instance, if you were reading something and you wanted to make a note, so say you wanted to write a note, you select a template, and then, you know, you're reading something, you want to, you know, copy something down. It's very easy. Whoops. Well, I guess I need to take the S Pen out. You know, you can write down, you know, hey, old guy throws baseball. So it works well and so forth like that. I would definitely tell you that I don't use the multi-window that much. You know, honestly, I don't really see the need in it. And if you wanted to delete it just like this, get the full window. I don't use it that much. And if you saw my video on the Optimus G Pro, I think the Optimus LG has a better implementation of, you know, using multi-window by having the hovering screen. I think that would work better actually, even though there's less apps that support it. So definitely check out my other video about the Optimus G Pro and see how LG, you know, their take on multi-use and, you know, multi-windows and stuff like that, you know, and definitely decide. So this is my review of the Galaxy Note 8.0. In the banana rankings, out of 10, I would definitely give this Galaxy Note maybe a 7.5. 7.5 because the screen quality, of course, is not high def. You know, even though you can't really notice the difference, you know, I'm kind of like maybe like a spec snob, you know. If like, oh god, it's not the best screen, I just, even though I can't tell the difference, it makes a difference to me. So also that it didn't come, even though it came out about the same time the Galaxy S4 came out, it didn't come out with the latest Android. And I would also say the CPU, you know, and the GPU, and I wish they would put more top-end specs into this, especially for the price that it's, you know, that it has. You know, the Nexus 7 is like almost twice the price of it, and you know, it has Tegra 3 quad core, you know, even though it's not the best, but it has a Tegra 3 quad core, you know, and this has that old Exynos quad core. And so I think that for the price, if it was the same as the Nexus 7, it would definitely get a solid, you know, 8.5, you know, but the price is just wow, you know. I could seriously almost buy 2 Nexus 7s with this thing. The S Pen is awesome if you into that. I'm not really into that. So if you're definitely a student or someone who wants to take notes, draw, definitely something to look at. I'm not sure if the price, you know, if the price is worth it, but like I said, I bought it and I've had it for a while, and I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna say that, you know, the price wasn't really high. It was high, but for the use of it, it's actually, you know, uses really well. Nexus 7, you know, I really love that also, you know, but like I said, the Nexus 7, the 7-inch screen, just, you know, a little bit off. The 8-inch screen is really the sweet spot, really the sweet spot. So definitely recommend that if you're thinking about a 7 to 8-inch tablet, to definitely check this out. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to buy it because of the price discrepancy between this and the Nexus 7. Also, the Nexus 7, the second one, is going to come out soon, supposedly with a much higher resolution screen and better CPU. So you might be better off waiting for the Nexus 7. But if you need something right now, the best, you know, 7-8-inch tablet, I would definitely suggest that you go look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 8.0 and compare it with the Nexus 7. If you need the S Pen, definitely this is the one to get. Better than the Galaxy Note 10.1, in my opinion, and so forth. So that's my review for the Galaxy Note 8.0. Check out my other videos on the GS4, Optimus G Pro, Vega Racer 2. Leave me some comments, you know, tell me what you like, hit the like button, do what you gotta do, you know what I'm saying, show another monkey love. And if you have any questions or something like that, send me a comment. I will always try to reply to you. By the way, please try to send it in English. I don't know why, but I'm getting a lot of, you know, I think Vietnamese or Cambodian or Chinese or Japanese, and I don't speak none of those languages, so try to keep it in English. And hey, you know what, you can even send me bad comments, because it really doesn't hurt my feelings. I find some of them funny anyways. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Peace, monkeys. And as always, monkey love each other. Peace.